There was once a city. In the city lived a poor man whose wife died young, leaving him with a young daughter. They lived together in a great slaughterhouse where the man worked. It was a strange place to call home. In the heart of the building, there was a room always guarded by masked men. And no one knew what was inside. The girl often visited the guards to see if she could trick them into giving up their secret. But they never did. And so the little girl lived out her childhood, and she was beloved by all her friends. But as she grew up, it became clear that she was not like the other children. She had no memories of the past, and simply lived from one moment to the next. She lived outside of time. While other young women learned from their pasts and dreamed of the future, the cattle slaughtherer's daughter was trapped in the present. One by one, her friends met young men with whom they shared their disappointments, their regrets, as well as their hopes and dreams. But the poor man's daughter remained alone. She was lonely and disappointed. One day, her father found her weeping by herself on the rooftop. When he saw her in such great sorrow, he was overcome with guilt and finally revealed a great secret to her. I do not want you to be haunted by the memories of your mother's death and by all the death that surrounds you here in the slaughterhouse. So when you were a child, I asked the spirits of the city to take all your memories away for safekeeping until you were old enough to understand them. "Where are the spirits?" she asked her father. "I'm old enough now to have my memories back." Reluctantly, the poor man told his daughter how to cross the great river to reach the city on the other side. He told her she would find the spirits there. Unable to wait any longer, the girl set out immediately on her journey to the city to reclaim her memories. She had never been to the city before, and saw many things that both excited and bewildered her. She followed her father's instructions until finally she came upon the first spirit. A great knife-wielding warrior. She was frightened of him, but she gathered her courage and approached him in the darkness. "Warrior," she called out, "do you have my memories?" Instead of answering her, he pulled a knife from his robe and began to dance. As he moved in the shadows, she felt the strange sensation of memories returning to her. But when he finished dancing and stood still again, she felt as though there was more to remember. "Where is the rest?" she asked him. "You must go find the 3 witches on the other side of the city," he answered. "They hold the rest of your memories." So she journeyed back out into the dizzying lights of the city, and saw many things that both excited and bewildered her. At last, she came upon the three witches in the moonlight. "Witches," she called out, "do you have my memories?" Instead of answering her, they arranged themselves into a line and began to dance. As they moved in the moonlight, she felt again the sensation of her memories returning to her. But when they were finished dancing and stood still, she knew that there was more to remember. "Where are the rest?" she asked. "You must go find the fisherman who lives by the great river," they told her. "He holds the rest of your memories." So she set out into the city again and saw many things that both excited and bewildered her. She walked all night, and this time walked along the bank of the great river. By the time she finally came to the fisherman, the day had already dawned. "Fisherman," she called out, "do you have my memories?" Instead of answering her, he pulled out a long fishing net and began to search for fish in the river. And as his net moved in the water, she felt her memories stirring just beneath the surface. She saw them approaching closer and closer, and her heart beat faster and faster and faster until finally, the fish landed in the fisherman's net. The fisherman turned to her, and before she knew what was happening, before she could protest, he severed the fish's head and threw it back into the river, and then laid the body at her feet.
There's things I wish I knew.
Horrified, she started to shout at the fisherman for his cruelty. But as she opened her mouth, she felt the sensation of her memories returning to her, all of them returning to her. She stood up and felt for the first time that she had remembered everything there is to remember. She thanked the fisherman and began to run home to the slaughterhouse in great joy. She was no longer excited or bewildered by the city, because it was now a familiar place.
And I've been climbing every hill. I've been looking high and I've been looking low, looking for my Shanghai lil.
When she got to the slaughterhouse, however, she found that nothing was as it was before. There were no more animals. The bloody ramps had been replaced by shining storefronts and restaurants. Neither her friends nor her father were anywhere to be found. But most strange was the fact that the masked men were gone, and the door to the room at the heart of the slaughterhouse stood wide open. So, for the first time in her life, she walked inside. And there, in the center atrium, she saw a young girl sitting with an instrument, alone. The cattle slaugherer's daughter was frightened of her, but she gathered her courage and approached the girl in the shadows. "Who are you?" she asked. But instead of answering her, the girl picked up her instrument and began to sing. It was a strange, wistful song, a song that spoke of times gone by, but also of hopes for the future. "What are you singing?" the cattle slaughterer's daughter asked again. But even as she spoke, she felt a strange sensation. She realized that the singing voice was in fact her own. As the song spilled from her lips, she looked up and was not surprised to see that the young girl had disappeared. She looked up and saw that everything was the way it should be.
Не слышны в саду даже шорохи, все здесь замерло до утра. Если б знали вы, как мне дороги подмосковные вечера, если б знали вы, как мне дороги подмосковные вечера.